It is with great pleasure that I introduce our guest speaker this morning, who is a proud alumnus of SGI and a member of the class of 2007. While at SGI, Tim was a multi-sport athlete and involved in several musical ensembles. Since graduating, Tim has done some incredible things and has had the opportunity to visit some amazing places. But given all of his success and accomplishment, what struck me most in speaking with him was his ongoing appreciation for this school, for our community, and for the friendships that were forged here. We are so excited and proud to welcome back to SGI High School, Mr. Tim Kellner.
Thank you. So, I just landed back in Buffalo this week from a shoot in the jungles of Borneo, on the other side of the world. I was covered in blood-sucking leeches, stinging bees, paddling in a sinking boat down intense jungle rapids, and I'm still more nervous and excited to be here than I was there. Seriously though, this is one of the greatest honors of my life, standing back here in the place that shaped and molded me. When I've spoken before, it's been to strangers, but I really feel like I know all of you. I spent the same 4 years in the same hallways, same classrooms, many of the same teachers, same musical groups, same sports teams, even forced to take swim classes in the same sort of scary pool. Or maybe they don't do that anymore, I don't know. But as unique as we all are as individuals, all of you, myself included, have more in common than with any other group in the whole world. When I was thinking about what I wanted to say today, I tried to bring myself back to my graduation. What was I thinking when I was sitting right where all of you are? And what was I feeling? And what's one bit of advice that I can give that has been most important since I left? And I landed on taking risks. So I want to take you through a little bit of my story and my career. I remember sitting where you are, feeling excited and nervous. While I was in school, I felt like it was never going to end, and then all of a sudden you're here in the blink of an eye. A part of me wanted to return to the comfort of what I knew. Maybe it would be nice to stay here for a few more years, but that's not how life works. It keeps moving. So I headed out to college. As part of my liberal arts curriculum, I had to take a film class. I had no experience with film other than a few really terrible skate videos that I made around Springville with some of my friends. I quite enjoyed the class, and around the end of the semester, my professor had taken an interest in my projects and invited me to go to Mongolia with him for 3 months to make a film. To be honest, I was terrified. I had never traveled outside the US, never worked on a film. I had a decision to make: go back home for the summer and hang out with my friends and family, or go travel to the other side of the world and live with nomadic families in the wilderness of Mongolia for 3 months. Something inside me forced me to go, and it changed my life forever. My first big risk. It was the hardest thing I've ever done. I lived off bug-filled yogurt and meat cooked over dried manure. I got sick multiple times. I was given rotten goat milk vodka as a remedy. I wouldn't recommend it. We spent days wandering the deserts and hills in extreme heat, all while trying to make a film. Almost every day I dreamed of being back home. When I finally did return to very worried parents, I was somehow even skinnier than I had been to start. And when I got home, I thought, I'm never leaving here again. But a seed was planted. Without realizing it, a positive change was growing inside of me. I learned there's so much out there that I didn't know and didn't understand. I learned about human connection that goes beyond words or a similar background. And I started to learn how to take risks. After college, though, I was lost once again. I was trying to be a music producer at the time, but wasn't making any money from it. So I was trying to find any job I could to make ends meet, including trying to apply to be a busboy, which I didn't even get. At the same time, an opportunity to intern with a video department at a book publisher came up. It seemed interesting, but the problem was it wasn't paid, and I really needed those hours in the day to make money. But again, something inside me decided to jump into the unknown and take that risk. It was hard work, carrying heavy equipment around all day, terrified that I was going to drop the expensive lenses and cameras. It was intense, but I had never worked somewhere that was both physical and creative, and I really enjoyed it. I knew next to nothing coming in. I could barely figure out how to turn the camera on. But for the first time in my life, I put everything into a job. I stayed late and showed up on shoot days when I wasn't supposed to be working. I often stayed in the studio till 3 or 4 a.m. practicing lighting setups or watching YouTube tutorials on how to color grade. I watched the professionals around me very closely, and I borrowed equipment to try to imitate what I'd seen with my own little films. I suppose I was in my own version of film school. Over the next few years, I learned more and more, taking in as much as I could and working my way up through the company till I had reached a very comfortable place. I had a well-paying job, a car, a nice apartment. But once I had achieved what I thought I wanted, there was still something missing. But it wasn't more money or more success. It was more learning, more new experiences I was after. So I stirred things up again and took another risk. I applied and got into USC Film School, but a few weeks before I was meant to leave for California, I saw a tweet from a filmmaker I followed about needing a London-based filmmaker to help them shoot a documentary series all over the world. I sent in my film reel, neglecting to mention I was in Chicago, and forgot about it because I figured I had no chance. Surprisingly, I got a call the next week asking if I was interested in the job. So I had a choice once again: stay in my well-paying job and comfortable apartment, attend traditional film school, or drop everything and join a group of young, wild filmmakers traveling the world and making films for YouTube. I should also mention that this wasn't paid. This time, though, the decision was easier, and I moved out of my apartment, got rid of my car and all my belongings except for a duffel bag and a camera, and hopped on a plane, my next big risk. Over the next year, I slept on couches, floors, inflatable mattresses, hotels. I was nearly broke most of the time, but I was happy again. Every day, every new location was a lesson, something new to overcome and learn from. Risks are something that you get better at taking the more you do. The last few years, I've taken many risks, traveling the high Arctic seas on a Russian icebreaker, filming wild grizzly bears from a few feet away in Alaska, moving to New York City with a week's notice. But just to be clear, not every risk I've taken has paid off. I've failed countless times, but that's part of the process. Bouncing back after a failure becomes easier every time. And you're also more likely to learn how to succeed each time. So, why throw yourself into the unknown when it's so much easier and more comfortable to keep doing what you're doing? Every time I look back at those risks, I see growth, I see change. I see a new part of me I didn't know existed before. You become more confident and you build better skills to take even more risks. Achieving goals is one benefit, but more importantly to me, taking risks leads you to what you're passionate about and to lead a fulfilling life. I would have never found filmmaking without taking risks. Over the rest of your life, and especially in the next few years, you'll be faced with these kind of decisions, big or small. Stick with what you know and what's comfortable, or head out into the unknown. You've all made it this far, and I know for a fact Springville has prepared you. So now it's all up to you. Thank you.